The vaulted dome of the Galactic Council chambers shimmered with artificial sunlight, its crystalline arches refracting light across 1,000 polished surfaces. Alien delegates lounged in sleek grav chairs, draped in silks and alloys, their voices echoing with derision. "Primitive leaves glued to cloth!" scoffed Chancellor Virex of the Veiled Dominion, his segmented mandibles clicking with amusement. "Is this truly Earth's idea of stealth?" Another delegate, a serpentine Shuri diplomat, slithered forward and hissed. "Their soldiers call it camouflage. It's barely more than dirt and dye." Laughter ricocheted through the chamber like plasma fire in a tunnel. A holographic display looped grainy Terran footage. A human soldier slinking through a rainforest, his outline blurred only by natural cover. To the council, it was an artifact, quaint, obsolete, amusing. Then a new voice sliced through the mockery, calm, low, and razor-sharp. "That man you're laughing at? He could have killed every one of you before you even blinked." The laughter stalled. All eyes turned to the lone Terran observer standing near the edge of the chamber. Compact, stone-faced, and wearing jungle green fatigues devoid of insignia, Captain Elena Ramirez didn't flinch. Her eyes, dark and unreadable, scanned the room like a hunter marking prey. Virex sneered. "Ah yes, the feigned human humility. You propose your outdated methods can compete with council-grade stealth armor?" Elena stepped forward. Her voice didn't rise, but it cut with precision. "I'm proposing a demonstration." The chamber fell quiet. "For the war games on Xylan 9, she continued, "send your best stealth operatives. I'll join them in the field. No advanced suits. Just me, a rifle, and nature." Virex leaned forward, intrigued. "You believe camouflage with leaves can outmatch plasma cloaks and thermal masks?" "I don't need to outmatch your tech," Elena said. "I just need to understand the jungle." "And you don't?" A murmur spread like smoke. The notion of a single human besting elite stealth teams was laughable, except the human didn't look like she was joking. General Zor, commander of the Threxian Black Unit, let out a gravelly chuckle. "This will be entertaining. The human wants a hunt? Let her try." The challenge was accepted. 2 days later, aboard the dropship Vigilant Resolve, Elena checked her gear with practiced efficiency. No fancy optics. No thermal scramblers. Just matte black fatigues, a custom M19 sniper rifle, and strips of jute and vine interwoven into her ghillie suit. Across the bay, the alien operatives prepped with chrome-plated elegance. Each wore adaptive camo units that bent light and heat signatures, making them nearly invisible. Their boots hovered inches off the ground to avoid leaving prints. They carried rail carbines and nanite-enhanced targeting visors. Elena strapped a crude machete to her thigh. "Your kit looks underfunded," one of the Threxian soldiers snorted. She didn't respond. The pilot's voice crackled overhead. "ETA to drop zone, 5 minutes. Objective is simple, reach the extraction beacon. Avoid detection. Record kill shots if engaged." The rules were clear. Simulated rounds. Tracking sensors. No fatalities. But reputations? Very much at risk. The dropship's rear bay split open with a hiss. Humid air surged inside like a living thing. Below lay Xylan 9, a labyrinth of canopy, fog, and carnivorous flora. As the alien teams deployed in flickers of shimmering light, Elena rolled off the edge and vanished into the green. 3 hours in, the jungle breathed around her like a slumbering beast. Cicadas screamed. Vines the width of torsos coiled around mossy trunks. Footsteps here meant nothing. The ground whispered secrets only the jungle could understand. Elena moved like mist, silent, untouchable. She had spotted 2 alien operatives already. One had paused near a bioluminescent ridge to recalibrate his cloaking suit. A single simulated shot from 800 meters tagged him in the neck. His HUD flared red. Out. The other never saw her. He simply fell to the forest floor with a stunned grunt, tagged center mass. His plasma cloak still shimmered even in defeat. In a high perch, Elena adjusted her scope. Sweat trickled down her back, ignored. Every breath was controlled. Every heartbeat slow. She didn't hunt like a machine. She hunted like something older, something primal. And Xylon 9, with all its unknowable life, welcomed her. Back in the command ship, Chancellor Virex watched the feed in silence. Of the 12 Council operatives, 4 were down. All tagged by the human. She's using shadows, he muttered. That's impossible. We engineered out such weaknesses. General Zor clenched his fists. She's not using shadows. She is one. The feed flickered again, another red flare. Another alien tagged. And still, no one had seen her. Rain had begun to fall. Not a gentle sprinkle, but a thick, clinging downpour that soaked through armor and blurred HUD readouts. It turned the ground into a silent mire and masked the low hiss of breath from every throat. The jungle of Xylon 9 exhaled steam, heat, and menace, and beneath its swollen canopy, something ancient stirred. Lieutenant Harex of the Veil Vanguard wiped condensation from his visor for the 4th time. His stealth suit was state-of-the-art, quantum shimmer, acoustic dampening, Neuralink threat response, but none of it helped when he didn't know where death would come from. Because someone was out there. Watching. Waiting. A sudden thump. Harex whirled around. His companion, a Shiri Pathfinder, dropped to the mud, red-lighted across the visor. Tagged. His voice buzzed with disbelief. No warning. No trace. It came from. A second thump. Harex's HUD blinked red before the sentence finished. From a camouflage perch 30 feet above, Elena Ramirez exhaled through her nose. Her ghillie suit had molded into the mossy limb of a massive root tree. A vine slithered past her boot, indifferent to the death she delivered. Through her scope, she watched the last pulse of red fade from Harex's helmet. 2 more down. That made 7. She moved. No noise. Just motion. A shadow between leaves, a whisper between raindrops. Miles away, inside the mobile command station floating above the jungle, Virex stood tense before the holographic map. Colored markers blinked. Most were red. She's neutralized more than half our operatives, he muttered. And we still haven't located her position. General Zord didn't speak. His jaw flexed as he reviewed the footage. Your elite, Virex added, are failing spectacularly. Zor's glare could cut glass. They were trained for open engagements. Rapid insertions. Urban warfare. This is different. She's using sticks and mud. Zor stabbed a clawed finger at the display. No. She's using terrain, psychology, and patience. None of which we trained for. Virex's lips twitched. He didn't like the answer, but he understood its weight. In the canopy, Elena paused. Her breath steady. Her fingers locked to muscle memory. She didn't need visuals. She felt movement before it happened. A rustle, unnatural. Southeast. Not the wind, too calculated. She lowered herself silently, her boot finding a knot of bark with practiced balance. Below, 2 cloaked figures slithered through the undergrowth. They moved cautiously now, no longer arrogant. One scanned, the other marked terrain. She tracked the second. Hold breath. Align reticle. The shot registered silently in his HUD. Damn it! The first one barked, his camo glitching as panic spiked. He fired wildly into the brush. Elena was already gone. Back on the ground, First Scout Rilith trembled. The jungle, which once seemed passive, now felt sentient, alive with menace. She's not just hiding, he muttered to his calm, sweat mixing with rain inside his collar. She owns this place. No response. Just static, then one line of transmission slipped through. If the land hates you, it doesn't matter what you wear. The voice was human. Calm. And impossibly close. Rilla spun, but it was too late. A red pulse blinked across his visor. Mission over. Elena leaned against the root wall deep in the gulch, slowly stripping a leech from her wrist. Her hand shook, not from fear, but adrenaline. She wasn't a ghost. She still bled, still ached. Her fingers hovered over a leaf-patterned comm pad. She clicked once. A line connected. Target Alpha, confirmed 4 more down. On the other end, Colonel Ashan's voice responded, quiet and clipped. Understood. Feed coming in clean. The Council's watching. She knew. They always watched. They expecting a miracle? She asked. They expected you to lose. She smiled faintly. Then they chose the wrong jungle. By dusk, the tally was 10. Only 2 alien operatives remained. Back aboard the Vigilant Resolve, panic had given way to reverence. No one joked now. The laughter was gone, buried somewhere beneath the moss and fear of Xylan 9. General Zor leaned in as the Council replayed heat signatures across the canopy. They watched again as a red dot vanished and a figure, barely discernible even in enhanced vision, slithered across a branch like a jungle cat. She's not fighting the jungle, Zor murmured. She is the jungle. Even Virex remained silent. And somewhere far below, the last 2 aliens huddled in a rock hollow, their tech faltering, their confidence shattered. One whispered, "How do you kill what you can't see?" The other whispered back, "You don't." A deep fog rolled through the jungle floor like a living curtain, dense and cold. Light couldn't penetrate it. Sound barely escaped it. To the final 2 operatives, Commander Brex of the Zurati Shock Corps and Specialist Miri of the Vulcan Night Guard, it felt like a tomb. They moved slowly now. Stealth mode disengaged. No point pretending they weren't prey. Brex's voice was hoarse through the comms. 4 hours. That's how long it's been since we last heard movement. She's not hunting anymore. She's waiting. Miri's response came in a whisper. She wants us to panic. Brex scanned the canopy above, the undergrowth below, the gnarled trunks on either side. His suit's sensors detected nothing, but his instincts screamed louder with every breath. She doesn't need us to panic, he muttered. She already won. Up in the crook of a tree cloaked in moss and ferns, Elena lay motionless. Her breath barely fogged the scope of her rifle. Every twitch in her muscles was deliberate, rehearsed. Stillness was her weapon now. The jungle's silence was her drumbeat. Her cheek rested against the stock of her weapon like an old friend. Below, the last 2 moved like cornered animals, shoulders tight, knees bent. They didn't speak anymore. They just listened. They knew. She hadn't come to kill them. Not today. She came to teach them why they couldn't win. High above the tree line, aboard the Vigilant Resolve, the Council delegation sat in uneasy silence. The war room lights dimmed as Commander Brex and Specialist Miri's biosigns pulsed steadily, but erratically. No red tags yet. No confirmation of their elimination. But no movement either. Virex leaned toward the display, his voice clipped. "What is she doing?" General Zor's brow furrowed. "She's doing nothing." "Nothing?" "She's waiting for them to break themselves." A soft gasp came from one of the junior delegates. "Is that strategy?" "No," Zor said, his voice grave. "That's war." Back on the forest floor, Miri stumbled. Not from injury, but from the weight of tension. She dropped her rifle, chest heaving, fingers trembling. Brex grabbed her arm, pulling her into a squat behind a root cluster. "You can't freeze up now," he said sharply. "She's out there. She'll hear it. She'll feel it." "I don't care," Miri hissed, blinking away tears. "This is madness. She's just one person. She's not just anything." Miri's lips trembled. "Then what is she?" Brex hesitated. He didn't have an answer. Not one that made sense in military doctrine. Not one that belonged in strategy briefings. She was a ghost. A myth in motion. A lesson their arrogance had summoned. He only said, "She's what we thought we were." A faint click sounded behind them. Not a branch snapping. Not a footstep. Just a mechanical tick, like a breath before a word. They both froze. From the shadows, a figure emerged. Slowly. No rush. No fear. Elena Ramirez stepped from the mist with deliberate grace, rifle lowered but presence unshakable. Her face was streaked with dirt. Her eyes held no hate, only clarity. Miri dropped to one knee, her hands instinctively rising. Brex stayed on his feet. "You gonna shoot us?" he asked, voice flat. Elena didn't lift her rifle. "No need," she said. He narrowed his eyes. "Why not? Aren't you here to win?" "I already did." Silence held them like a blade. Elena continued. "Your tech failed you. Your training lied to you. Your suits made you blind to everything that mattered." Brex stiffened. "You talk like a philosopher." "No," she replied. "I talk like someone who had to learn the hard way. Nature doesn't care about your rank. She doesn't salute arrogance. She buries it." Miri looked up slowly. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because the council won't," Elena said. "They'll dismiss this. Say it was rigged. Say I cheated." "And did you?" Brex asked. She met his gaze without blinking. "I listened. To the earth. To the wind. To the way the jungle breathes." Brex said nothing. But the rage behind his eyes dulled, muted by something heavier than defeat. Respect. Later, as the extraction shuttle hovered overhead, its lights scanning the glade, Elena turned once more to the two aliens. "Go back. Tell them this wasn't a humiliation," she said. "It was a warning. Next time, we won't use paintball rounds." Then she vanished into the mist again, the jungle swallowing her whole. Back aboard the command ship, the council watched as Brex and Miri were recovered, shaken, silent, and very much alive. Virex crossed his arms. "Well?" Brex didn't look at him. He simply said, "We were never in control." And for the first time in his life, the High Chancellor had nothing to say. The debriefing chamber aboard the Vigilant Resolve was unusually quiet. No sarcastic barbs. No polished boasts. Just cold silence and the residual hum of suppressed embarrassment. Chancellor Virex stood at the head of the table, arms clasped behind his back, flanked by military officials and science delegates from across the galaxy. His face, typically adorned with smug superiority, was now unreadable. A holographic image flickered above the table, Elena Ramirez crouched in the trees, motionless. A predator carved from the very foliage she hid within. "This is the footage you've all reviewed," Virex began, tone clipped. 12 elite operatives neutralized. No fatalities. No visual confirmations. No tray signatures. His gaze swept across the room like a blade. "Any explanations?" General Zor shifted first. "None that follow protocol. None that fit any playbook we've written." A soft, scratchy voice rose from the rear, a strategist from the Siren Military Institute. "Her tactics violated none of our war game rules, and yet circumvented every advantage we deployed. She used camouflage." Another delegate sneered. "Mud. Moss. Leaves," Zor snapped. "And it worked. That's the point. You think war is won by polishing armor. She proved war is won by understanding it." In a small observation room above the chamber, Elena watched through one-way glass. She leaned against the cold wall, arms crossed, expression unreadable. The jungle dirt was still caked beneath her nails. Her fatigues were worn, yet unwashed, as if she wanted the council to smell the truth before hearing it. Beside her, Colonel Ashan monitored the live feed. "You impressed them," he said quietly. "Shamed them a little too. They needed both." He smirked. "You know they'll never admit it." "They don't have to," she replied. "They just have to change." Later that evening, aboard the council's upper deck, Virex summoned her. Elena entered without ceremony, her presence as firm as her step. Virex didn't offer greetings. He gestured to the empty seat across from him. "Sit, Captain." She remained standing. "I prefer to stand, Chancellor." A flicker of annoyance crossed his features. Then something else, respect. "You embarrassed a dozen worlds," he said. "Made our technology look obsolete. Our doctrines outdated. I didn't do it to embarrass you, Elena replied. I did it to prove we're not relics. You believe Earth has something to teach the Council? No, she said. I know it. A pause. Virex rose slowly, circling her like a tactician sizing up a battlefield. We want you to train a new joint operations unit, he said. One combining our specialists with Terran methodology. Jungle warfare. Adaptive camouflage. Sensory discipline. Elena arched a brow. You want me to teach your people how to disappear? Virex tilted his head. I want you to teach them how to survive. 3 weeks later, in the dense marshlands of Varnak 6, a unit of mixed-species recruits crouched silently beneath heavy canopies, learning how to blend with mud, sweat, and silence. Gone were the shimmering suits and self-assured swagger. Instead, they wore leaf netting, painted their faces in the native pigments of the swamp, and listened, truly listened, to the forest. Elena stalked between them like a panther, correcting posture, motion, and mindset. Stop thinking like soldiers, she barked at a Threxian who had moved too fast. Start thinking like predators. The recruits obeyed. Because in the trees, the ghosts who once stalked legends now trained them to become shadows themselves. Back on the Council's central databank, the doctrine changed. Pages once filled with technological superiority were now updated with terms the galaxy had mocked just a month earlier. Natural concealment. Low-tech survival. Terrain-based tactics. Adaptive stillness. Psychological dominance. The words were foreign, but they were effective. Chancellor Virex stood at his balcony, watching a shuttle ascend into the stars. He had received a new report that morning. A joint Earth-Veil team had succeeded in neutralizing a pirate base deep in the fungal jungles of Kepler 9, without firing a single shot. The enemy had surrendered in terror, convinced they were surrounded by hundreds. There had only been 12. All of them trained by Elena Ramirez. He turned to General Zor, who stood beside him. We've rewritten more than just doctrine. Zor nodded. We've rewritten who defines the battlefield. Back on Earth, Elena sat beneath a cedar tree outside an old sniper training facility in the Rockies. Birds chirped overhead. The air smelled of pine, not plasma. A young cadet approached hesitantly. Captain Ramirez? She glanced up. They sent a message from the Council. They want to name the new unit after you. She didn't smile. She simply stared out toward the woods. Tell them no. The cadet blinked. No? She rose slowly, slinging her rifle over her shoulder. Tell them it's not about names. It's about respecting the hunt.